All right, so before we hop into the techniques, a few things to mention. Number one, the order of these techniques is just the order for this video. For some of you, the order will be perfect. Layering the tensions in the way we're doing it, then this video will be really helpful. For others, you may want to switch up the order. So keep that in mind. Second, if you're tight in the pecs, in the sides of your bodies, if you're really tight in the traps between the shoulder blades, this will be limited. The benefit you get from these techniques will be limited. So make sure you're well rolled out and not too restricted anywhere. And with that, let's get into it. The first exercise technique with these bands will be protraction, potentiating the ability to bring our shoulders forward in space, forward and up. We wear if you think about a backpack, how it kind of brings your shoulders back and down, protraction is the opposite of that. And it really kind of helps get length back here where a lot of people are tight, and it helps us just kind of lift the shoulders off the ribs, which for some of you is going to be very important and feel good. So let's just get into it. Let's just get right into it. So the first thing you're going to do is you have your two bands that are tied together. You're going to take the band, put it over the shoulder, right shoulder, put it over the right shoulder, and then turn to the right. Grab it high up, pull down, pull down, but I'm turning to the right so it can stay nice and tight as I do it. Bring it down to your hip and just wrap around your hip. Maybe wrap it twice. Boom. Now it's pulling me this way. We're gonna do the same thing with this one. So you're here, putting it on your shoulder, turn the other way, get it nice and tight here, wrap it around. You'll now have what looks like a cool belt. This is so easy to do. I do it all the time, but of course for the videos, it's like giving me problems. Okay, boom. So it's, not perfect. It doesn't need to be. What is important is that I feel both of my shoulders being pulled back into a pinch. And so I have resistance to bringing them forward and wide. So if you think about a cobra, the head of a cobra, how it flares out the hood, that is what you're doing. Seeing it from the back here, bringing it out wide and forward. The cues for this is going to be two steps. What you're going to do is you're going to roll the shoulders as far forward as you can, bringing them forward like you're hugging somebody, and then slowly let them come back while not letting them pinch. You're letting them come back while staying really wide. So once again, I'm bringing my shoulders forward and then slowly letting them come back just to where they're really wide here. I don't want to wind up here, bringing them forward, coming back to where they're about here. From here, the first thing we're going to do is breathe. So for 30 seconds, let's just get space. We're just going to focus on decompressing our ribs while bringing our shoulders forward and a little bit up. And actually for right now, don't even pull them back. Just pull them forward and breathe forward and up. Awesome. Next is going to be, you're going to lift the shoulders up and have them out by your sides. So this is for some of you, based on where you're tight, this will just help you get in the position better. So you're going to lift your shoulders up, lift your arms up as you bring your shoulders into that reaching forward, that protraction, and then slowly start bringing your elbows back until you feel serratus, which kind of is under the shoulder blade right here. It'll feel deep. Kick on. That's what you're looking for, an engagement in this area under the shoulders. You're going to come up here, slowly start coming out to the side while staying as wide as you can. Couple more breaths, decompressing. Now you can slowly start turning side to side. The goal is to turn your ribs one way and the hips the other so that you can kind of feel your obliques. And the other consideration is when I turn to the left, how well can I not pinch? If you're weak or tight, you're gonna wanna pinch the left shoulder blade when you turn to the left, and you're gonna wanna pinch the right shoulder blade when you turn to the right. Can you stay wide? While turning. By now you should be getting a pretty good burn. Next up, we're just going to be hinging at the hips. The purpose of this is that as we go into the hinge, we're still going to let the shoulders be pushing forward and up, and that can give a nice stretch to the mid back, depending on where you're tight. So we'll just come in here. Being suspended on the hamstrings. And if this doesn't feel good, if this goes to your lower back, just skip this. If whichever one of these feels the best, feel free to pause the video and just stay on that motions or exercise. The moment you find a good engagement, stay with it. Stay with it. These are all just positions where you might find a good engagement. Once you find that good engagement, burn it out. So you can put this on and any of these bands on just to walk around your house even. Okay, for this next banding technique, retraction, which is kind of the exact opposite of protraction. It is learning to engage these mid shoulder blade muscles in a lengthened position. We're so used to having them turn on and just be so short that we don't understand how to have them be turned on when they're long, and we lose that ability. And a lot of us that are so used to being here actually have those muscles be very weak and shut off the moment we get into a lengthened position. So let's get into it. Here's the wrap for it. It's the exact opposite in every way of the protraction. So instead of coming behind the body, we're gonna come in front of the body. So it's on my right shoulder, I'm turning to the left. Pulling down, grabbing it high up, not down here, high up. Pulling down, grabbing it both with one arm, pulling around my body, wrapping around the hips, tucking in twice. Grabbing the second one, left shoulder, turning to the right, pulling, wrapping around the hip, tucking in. Lovely. Now I have two bands pulling my shoulders forward. This is a posture brace. If you've ever seen the posture braces that pull you back, well, this pulls you forward, which is great because then you have to use your strength to fight it. So you just wear this around the kitchen, wear this around the house for 30 minutes, take it off. You now effortlessly hold yourself in better posture. So similar to the last moves of the protraction bands, we're going to first focus on decompression breathing. What we'll do with our shoulders is we're going to roll them forward and then start pulling them back, keeping them wide. How wide can you keep them as you pull them back? The muscles you're looking to start feeling throughout this video are again serratus and obviously the mid-scapular muscles in a lengthened fashion. You should feel them engaging. So the first thing is breathing. So go ahead and start your decompression breathing while I'm here. Decompression breathing, breathing into the ribs, trying to get space, length. Now, depending on what your unique collection of tensions are, basically depending on who you are, you're gonna get a better engagement if your arms are by your sides, if they're up here, here, So let's go through some of these. So you're breathing, either you're in robot stance and you're feeling it pretty well, and that's awesome. Maybe slowly start pulling your arms up without losing that nice position of the shoulders. For some of you, this will light up your serratus in a good way. You can just hold it here. For some of you, you may need to start pulling it back just a little bit. There's a sweet spot you'll find where ding, everything kind of clicks on. We call this one here God of Thunder. It's more like this actually, but as you're here, let's start exploring some other movement. Can you twist your ribs without your hips? Find those obliques. Can you, we're now, for a lot of you, you just need to find a position, hold it, and breathe. If you're a little more advanced, you can play around with like moving your arms while not losing that nice space and that width, and without losing the engagement there. You'll start getting after a while a very intense burn in the upper middle back, no figure. And that's great, kind of shows you're on the right track. The main thing here, keeping the scaps wide, breathing loud, big and proud, and the magic happens then on its own. So time to explore the magic of rotation. Now that our shoulders are wide and big and spacious and connected and tensioned, we will now use them to start connecting into our torso and our obliques and our spiral engines. So if I want to turn to the left, I have the front spiral engine, the anterior oblique sling. Just think right shoulder, serratus, upper oblique, lower oblique into this hip. That shortens to turn me to the left. This one, the opposite side, will get lengthened. And if I was running, then this would shorten, this would lengthen, and then snap back. And as it snapped back, it would lengthen this one, which then snaps back. And you're recycling tension that way. Same thing happens on the back side. You have lats coming into glutes. That's the more superficial layer of the spiral line. And then you also have these back muscles here that will, if I'm turning left, these left back muscles will turn me to the left as they connect into these hamstrings. So basically right leg to left rib cage turns me to the left. Right rib cage to left leg. So if I'm turning to the left, my left leg's involved in a big way. Both legs are actually involved in rotation to both sides. Anyways, getting ahead of myself. So let's get these bands on. So this is a mix of one rotraction and one protraction band. So first, let's go to the right, because that's what I need more. So left shoulder, grab it high up. For the majority of you, the direction we're about to go will be your weaker side, and you may have a better chance going, and you know what, we'll do it that way. Okay, this is gonna be the stronger side for most of you, so we'll do it that first. Grab it high up, pull down. Pull around the back of your body to your hips. Wrap around the hips. Tuck in. Complete. This is pulling me to the right. So we're gonna get this left one also pulling me to the right. Goes over the left shoulder. Comes across the front of the body to the right hip. I'm turning to the right while I put it on, so it's gonna be nice and tight. Pull it around the hips, wrap it around, tuck it in. Done. Both bands pulling me to the right. So here's what we're gonna do. There's a couple of things. It's sometimes easier for people to go nice and slow and just start turning to the left. But if you're really weak, it's actually sometimes easier to go faster. Before we get started, let me just mention, be aware of where you're feeling things. The lower back, do not want that to be turned on. And be careful you're not, leaning back. Keep that belly in. A lot of these motions are built on a lot of the things we've already covered in other videos. But keep the belly in, practice that breathing. What we're looking for is separation between the hips and the rib cage. You're wringing out a towel. So if I'm turning left and right and my hips and ribs turn as one unit, then there's not actually rotation happening in the core. Well, that's what we want, rotation happening in the core. So if my ribs are going to the left, I almost have to think about turning my hips to the right. And for some of you, for the majority of you, the kind of stuff I'm doing right here is what you need to do. You just basically need to start twisting, feeling it out. If it's really hard to feel, I recommend trying to turn your ribs to the left, your hips to the right, and you're basically in this position in like a max contraction, and you're just holding it. You're just holding it here, breathing, waiting for things to wake up, turn on. So we can just hang out here, let's breathe. Now, if I'm turning to the left, I have to be very careful. I do not pinch my left shoulder. If I'm turning to the left, I do not want this. That is the whole purpose of doing the protraction bands first and the retraction, is to help us be good at staying wide as we turn. Because when we're staying wide, that's going to allow us to use a lot more like lats and other situations later on. But just do not pinch. Do not pinch, and I will not be upset with you. Okay, now we're back here. Turning, just exploring. So far we've really focused on just the ribs. We haven't really looked at the legs, but we can do that. Now we're entering into a world of a lot more variables, but a couple things we can do. As I'm turning to the left, I can step my right leg back. Now as I step my right leg back, I'm actually pushing my left leg forward. We need all the muscles here to be connecting into the movement. So even though my left leg's not moving, I'm almost driving my left leg forward as I drive my right leg back. I can turn to the left and step forward with my left leg. Now, if these don't feel right, or you're just flailing all over the place, let's wait maybe for another video. But if that feels good, play with it. So, let's put on the other way. Grab here, grab here. Probably going to speed through the other side because it's the same thing, just different reps. Left shoulder, right shoulder, wraps to the left of my body. Left hip, around the hip, tuck in. Left shoulder, behind the body, to the hip. Tucked in. Okay. So, exploring, bending. Also, don't be afraid to kind of slowly bend left to right. Do not let it go to the lower back, but these spiral lines need to be able to engage in conjunction with side bending. So as you get good at this, you can kind of explore. So for example, if I just stand straight up, it goes too much into this lower oblique, right? So I'm turning to the right, which means I want to shorten this band. It shortens to turn me this way. This band of muscles, right? There's a muscle connection, muscle flow. I want it to shorten. So I want to feel equal engagement in my lower oblique here as it wraps up, and in my serratus upper oblique on this side. But I feel it mostly on this right side. I don't feel much here. But I know that if I lean a little bit, and then turn, it starts lighting this up a lot more. And by spending time in this position, it'll get stronger and it'll be more woken up so that when I come here, it'll still, yeah, I can still feel it more. So explore. This is the thing. I'm giving you jump off points. You got to explore, breathe, keep your shoulders wide. A big factor in, there we go. A big factor in rotation is getting good ground force connection between our feet and legs to stabilize the hips. But that's just not something we're going to get to this video. But think about using the driving of one leg forward and one leg back to keep the hips in place as you turn. I do have another video on the channel if you want to go look for it under ground force connection. Yeah, just breathing, turning, and enjoying yourself. Thank you for watching. Keep up the good work. If this is helpful to you, please tell a friend. Send a link, maybe. Leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.